I like food. Well, obviously, but what about in cartoon form where the food can talk, live in a modern city, and last just as long as their real-life expiration dates? Today, we're taking a look at the short-lived 2-season Cartoon Network series, Apple and Onion. A show with such a look and name that if you had never heard of it, one look at this will make you go, nah, this isn't a real show. But funny enough, it was a real show about an apple and an onion. On every account, I've heard mainly less than favorable thoughts on this show, from the art style to the substance of the show itself. Only very few were recommending me to give it a try. I always love a good underdog story, so I finally sat down and gave the show a chance, and while I didn't leave the experience as a #1 fan of the series, I did take some things away from it. It's a show full of heartwarming stories, fun characters, relatable situations, and a whole lot of music, so grab your local produce, a funky beat, and some squeaky new sneaks, and let's jump into the weird world of Apple and Onion.
The perfect team.
Apple and Onion first premiered on February 23rd, 2018. Before that would come to happen, the show started off as an idea from show creator George Gendy, a British jack-of-all-trades from writing to animating to directing to even voice acting. During his time working on The Amazing World of Gumball, he went directly to Cartoon Network Studios in Burbank, California to pitch this new show idea. Having some interest, Cartoon Network greenlit this concept for Gendy to develop fully into a pilot, and would eventually go on to be selected with another pilot to get shown next to one another for the 2015 Annecy International Animation Film Festival, or IFE for short. The other show pilot that was shown off was Welcome to My Life, sadly not as a teenage robot, and sadder that that show pilot never took off. The following year, in 2016, the Apple and Onion short was posted online, and the following year after that, the show was officially picked up for a limited series in March of 2017. A limited series usually means that the show would be contained in a singular season or so, and the creators would be privy to that knowledge of how long their show is around. Now, in 2018, the show would fully premiere in February on Cartoon Network to a mix of opinions on what to think about this show. In a time where a lot of shows fall victim to the claim that they all look the same based on certain design choices, this show definitely sticks out as something new. It's just unfortunate that that new look was panned by many for not looking appealing. Of course, that being their opinion, their Apple and opinion. Alright. The show had to be doing something right though, despite the more critical reviews, as it would be picked up for a second season in May of 2019. There for sure was enough of an audience and a fan base to justify turning this, what was a limited series, into a full series, and giving it a second season to boot. I mean, the show originally aired 10 episodes for its limited run for an exact month from February 23rd, 2018 to March 23rd, 2018. But after the announcement of a second season, the rest of the first season would come out in November of 2019 until July of the following year. With a total of 40 episodes in the first season and 36 episodes in the second, this at one point limited series sure was able to put out quite a bit of tales in the Apple and Onion verse.
Yo, this is the best video I've made to date, and definitely the most legit.
Coming up next, it's more new Apple and Onion.
Hey, look, we're famous.
Apple and Onion follows the day-to-day adventures of two anthropomorphic food items, one of fruit and the other of vegetable. They start off the show as strangers, both moving to a city away from their families for new opportunities in their lives, and quickly find out how different, hard, and sometimes scary that can be. But once they find one another, their journey becomes a whole lot easier, and they were roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
Onion is the less carefree one of the two, usually playing off situations more reserved in comparison to Apple. Voiced by Richard Iowati, Onion really helps to aid in the ideas, problems, or shenanigans Apple gets himself, and by extension, Onion into. Apple, voiced by the creator of the show, George Gendy, comes up with the bulk of the ideas that they both follow. He is more outgoing and willing to do something new or different without the hesitation that Onion would have. Together, they do a good job at balancing out their individual characteristics. Each episode would ultimately end in some sort of lesson for both of them to learn, or someone that tags along with them to learn. Most shows do something like this in order to offer some more perceived value, but the show never seems to try and add on these lessons. Rather, it embraces the good-hearted nature of it all. It results in the actual morals being presented coming off very wholesome and way more effective in terms of retaining the material. But another one of the most important things that the show has to offer within the structure of the episode is the music. Basically, each episode follows a rhythm. It's fast-paced, and before you know it, the beat slowly fades into some sort of a song for our characters to perform that gets them through the tough part of their situation, or the solution to their problem, or in general, like at the start of the series, for them to find their footing within the new city. While it does start off as a cool way to tell parts of the story or teach some lessons, the frequency of having it in every episode does give it less of an impact the more you watch. I found myself becoming less and less of a fan of musical comedy specifically. I like musicals and I like comedy, but for some reason when combining the two and the jokes are delivered to the tune and backed by a beat, the less I am interested, which sucks because I want to enjoy that stuff. That's why I actively want to watch things like this show. But even though I don't mind a lot of it within this show, after a while it loses the effect on me that it was intended. The world itself, though, makes up so much of why I did enjoy this show. It has all the same modern tropes of heavily personality-driven characters living in a vibrant city, just, you know, as food. But interesting foods, like sure, an apple and an onion. They're common foods. But then we got stuff like cheesesteak, a food that is made up of other foods. So how does he exist? Is it similar to pizza, who was born from a slice of his mom? And then when you think about the names in the show, how is he called apple and how is he called onion, as if they're the only ones of their kind? We see their parents in the first episode. Who are they? They can't all be named apple and they cannot all be named onion. Well, at least the mayor, who is mayonnaise, is named Mayonnaise, which you have to be pretty sure about a job profession to name your child something like that. I heard he wanted to be an astronaut growing up. But disregarding all of that, the show's bright and warm personality emphasizes the fast back and forth dialogue between Apple and Onion, and it surprisingly doesn't get annoying. The jokes seem thoroughly written out, or the punchline hits better due to the performances, culminating in the comedy aspect of the show, even without the music, hitting greatly. The show overall could work as a small 11-minute relatable slice of life that could continue on for years to come. It has the feeling of a homemade project, something that's a bit off the cuff but doesn't stray too far from the things you love. But alas, the show would not find this option available.
Although the sentiment was correct.
Unfortunately, the show struggled to find its larger audience, and on top of that, dealing with trying to make the show during the years of 2020 and 2021 because of the state of the world was no easy feat. While the team would continue to move forward and make a total of 66 episodes, the show was canceled. After season 2 ended in December of 2021, there was a wait and see if this show continues forward, but come February of 2022, the show's creator would confirm on Twitter that the show has ended, but hey, every episode is now on HBO Max. Along with this, he elaborated further saying that they didn't write these final episodes knowing that it would be the end of the show, but it just so happened that it was a fitting goodbye. It's commendable that the show started off as a limited series and was able to expand into so much more. The world that the show built is genuinely interesting and the characters themselves are very charming. At the end of the day, Apple and Onion was a unique show that had more to offer than what you would think based on judging a book by its cover, but it still holds my initial thoughts when looking at the cover. It's a charming slice-of-life show about two new best friends navigating their new life in a big city, whilst interacting with the various different people or food products that live there. I wish I was more into the music bits, as the show is literally stuffed with them, but the joke or comedy that comes from them doesn't last or hold its charm for the show's complete run. I'd rather these bits be filled with something more substantial, something that feels less like filling the already short 11-minute runtime and more like adding to the overall story being told. Sure, music is a fine way to tell part of the story, but not every song felt like it had that type of importance to the episode. Overall, Apple and Onion still has a lot of great things that make the show worth checking out if you did overlook it. It's not going to do anything revolutionarily different from what else is out there, but it does pave its own path that snakes away from being blended in with anything else. For that, I respect it, and again, I did find myself enjoying a lot of its more lighthearted slice of life nature. But But what about you? What are your thoughts on Apple and Onion? Did you completely pass it during its initial run? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure to hit the like button and subscribe with notifications on for more content like this, or all the food in your fridge will mysteriously go rotten. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll be back with another video soon, but until then, later.